and pleased with us, and that becomes the characteristic in which Allah happy with. Haqiqat tayy, haqiqat tayy. That first tayy and first reality of speed and movement is through the tongue, haqiqat tayy lisan. That there's a power within the tongue when the servant locks their tongue to the roof of their mouth, and when they're in their muraqabah, their meditation, they enter into a position what we call sealed. So they meditate, immediately lock the tongue to the palate of the mouth, and when they connect their heart, this tayy al-lisan begin to open an enormous amount of speed in their zikr. So many people will ask that, how you people do the zikr so fast, how can you do so many things so fast? It's been Allah has to open this reality so that in their zikrs, their meditation, their connections are coming, that they can begin through their heart to make very large amounts of zikr in a very short amount of times. So their zikr like speed of light, but very conscious but very fast it's moving. Even their recitations of surahs like speed of light versus speed of tongue, Allah, 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 like that, but moving through their heart through a light. Allah opened for them that reality through their seclusions, because they're given very long and big awrads to recite, and they can't be achieved just by normal means. So then these realities open for those whom seclude themselves, they do their zikr, make their connection. Again, don't say, I make a lot of zikr and these things are not opening, because if you make a lot of zikr and lot of different wazifas without a connection, you can go mad. Just sitting and reciting a whole bunch of things in the thousands and thousands, but yet you don't have a connection, you don't have a security built with you that you're connected to a shaykh or shaykhs or to the tariqah, then that can be very dangerous, because you're opening a power that you don't know how to control, you don't know how to contain, and you don't know what it's attracting as a counter. Every light opens up a counter from shaitan. So it means when the shaykhs build the person, they're building them with all of the resources, all of their protections, so that every step they're being guarded and being built. So you don't just sort of build yourself with an enormous amount of practices without making the foundation, which is the muraqabah. So haqiqatul lisan is that when Allah opens the speed in which they can recite and do their wazifas, and when they meditate and recite, the speed in which is reciting through their heart. Then haqiqatul lisan al-badan, that the movement through space and time, and we describe that in the talks on the Mandela effect. That again I heard the CERN will be opening again in March. So again shaitan is going to be using this system and opening. But the tayy al-badan is a system in which Allah can… this earth is like A, B, C. At any time Allah can fold A and C from point A, fold over to point C and cross over the B. So it means that Allah described the earth are like scrolls, at any time He can fold them. So with power of Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, the servant can move from one point to the next point, and that's through their spiritual ability, that their soul is governing their physicality with all of these energies and practices. Because this is now the reality of moving towards irshad and guidance. So these are the last stages and the most difficult stages, that the servant accomplish the maut qabla al-maut, their soul is governing their reality, and as a result of that reality their soul can move. They can move from location to location with their soul. And as a result of the last days and the advent of all these mobile phones, that's not being used because of the closeness to the proximity of Dajjal and miracles and conveying of bizarre events. That's not necessary. Allah if needed can make a shaykh appear in many places at the same time but their need to move from point A to point C is being held for the time of Sayyidina Mahdi salam, at which point that would be open. And Allah will make their movements, and all them who have been trained in that reality, their movement with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. They merely step, and where Allah want them to appear they'll be appearing. As a result of that movement and the power that Allah gives within their tongue and the ability for their heart to convey their zikrs, Allah begin to open haqiqat al-irshad. And irshad means that been given the secrets of guidance. And that's what Prophet described, my companions are like stars. So this was all the way of becoming a star. So that these 6 powers have to dress the heart and bless the heart so that they can reach towards their star reality. We say star is born, that as soon as Allah dress them, and Allah want to give the servant irshad and guidance, and that time they receive an ijazah of guidance. that you have been given the reality of irshad. As a result it manifests with the ijazah of guidance. As a result of that the certificate of guidance, the reality of irshad means that Allah is dressing them from these powers, blessing them with these powers, that their guidance is with a heart that been lit and dressed with these realities. That with this reality of juzba, the reality of their connection, their faiz, the reality of their face connecting, the reality of the ability to convey their dhikr, the ability to convey large amounts of zikrs in short period of time, all of these is that Allah perfect them as a star with the star of guidance. And then as a result then they become from the dress of the companions dress them, the Ahlul Bayt dress them, and they become Rashideen, Mahdieen wa Kamileen, that Allah dress them Sifat Rasheed, that my reality of guidance dressing upon you, blessing upon you, that your face dressed upon this reality, that you inherit the face of the prophetic reality. That's what we started at the beginning of the whole understanding, that Allah make the Prophets of Allah why they became and what was the power of their prophecy is that their ears from the holy Hadith al-Qudsi, that you do your fard and now you did all the voluntary acts of love, I became your hearing, I became your seeing, I became the breath in which you breathe, the tongue in which you speak, the hands in which you touch, the feet in which you move, and that your heart and what you ask is kun fayakun, so much so you are Rabbaniyun. Means that this is a star, that's the reality of a star, and that it represents Allah's eternal kingdom. That you now I've granted for you, I accepted all of your minor service and now I granted for you an eternal service, because their star is now eternally of service. Their body dies but their service never ends. Their guidance is guiding this kingdom for eternity, and that they have always guided the kingdoms for eternity and all the Prophets of Allah. Means the immensity of their light and the immensity of that reality is only Allah knows. We pray that Allah dress us and bless us from the immensity of these realities, that as we draw closer to the last days in the presence of Sayyidina Mahdi that these realities begin to unfold very quickly within the hearts of those servants in which whom Allah guides and brings to that reality. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifoon wa salaamun al mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Hurmati Muhammad al Mustafa wa bi Surat al Fatiha.